right, people in the chat, you are not having a Mandela effect. That is not Robert Earl White right there. That is Anthony.
Yes, I am. Yes,
When
I
Robert
am.
Earl White gets here, we'll jump him on. He did text me, so he'll be on his way. But that is Anthony. So, but I said, you know what? I'll start the show now. Get everybody warmed up. Get everybody talked because I think Robert Earl White got very excited because I told him, you know, me and my brother, we got the phone call, and I'll show you guys what's happening. This is exciting. This is going to change the face of music. Here it is. Myself, my brother, Robert Earl White, we are now going to replace ZZ Top.
Yeah, man.
You know, you see Robert in the front, you can see my brother in the right, and I'm the one in the back. I'm the drummer.
That's great.
Hey, shoot! Nowadays, you know, when concerts come around, right? Sometimes there's only one member from the original band, and sometimes these members that are left were even the first round original members of the band. So why can't we come in and be the new ZZ Top? Hey, everybody plays backing tracks now, backing vocals. Nobody has to sing no more live. You know. I can pretend to hit the sticks. Shoot, why not?
That's great how you put the heads on the bodies like that. Your brother and Robert can fit in that band like perfectly.
Perfect. And the thing is, the drummer never had a beard, so I can have it. I just thought
that's great.
You don't get a lot of people with those awesome looking beards and all that. So when the Robert comes, you know, he'll be joining us, but since I got Anthony here, there was a couple questions I was going to ask Robert that's not related to his abduction story. Because I was going to ask him, I was just going to ask you, you know, lately with all the news, we know UFOs are popular. It's always been popular, but sometimes events makes it even more popular. Like all the NASA doing their news conference, the government talking about it. To a ufologist person like yourself, Anthony, does that even matter to you if they do get together? Because it seems like to me, every time they get together, nobody's happy on what they say in the first place. I'm curious with you, do you care? Are you happy that they're talking about it?
It's like a dog and pony show with them. All right. They're talking about it, but are they really doing anything about it? And if they really are doing anything about it, are they really going to tell us what they found? You know what I mean? I don't think so. I think it's all a dog and pony show, like I said. Like the last couple congressional hearings that we had, it was all nonsense. We all watched it, right? We didn't get anything out of that, right? Same thing with NASA. They had their conference. Everybody spoke. What did we really learn from it? Nothing.
And that's the thing. When they come on, I actually don't watch it directly on the TVs and stuff. I actually watch it through you or Ron. Like you guys, sometimes you guys will broadcast it through your channels, right. And I'll watch it through there to see what you guys say or maybe what the chat says, because I never hear anything interesting. It's always the same footages that they look at. But then I'm asking myself, even if they had something, I guess you consider maybe juicy, that would make you think that, hey, that one could be from outer space. Would they even tell you?
I don't think so. So right now, David Martin, Congress, United States Congress had congressional hearings on oversight for unidentified aerial phenomenon. They have the OSAP, they had the ATIP offices, right? Then NASA devised their own group of, I forget how many people were involved, 20 plus scientists and astronauts that are involved with that, engineers that are going to search for extraterrestrial intelligence, right? I doubt we're going to hear anything from that as well. I mean, NASA's been in space for how many decades now, right? I'm sure they have a ton of information on extraterrestrial craft. Have they told us anything yet? Anytime you're watching a live NASA feed, and they're in space, and you're watching these strange objects fly by. All of a sudden, the feed gets cut. It goes to another section of space as any strange objects are flying by. Right? That stuff happens all the time. So I don't think anything's going to change. To be honest with you, we're not going to get any information from them.
Let me see here. What says they had aliens in freezer since 1947. They're not telling us, and they're not telling us. I mean, they'll call it security. To to know it's we don't know what they're going to tell us.
Need to know and all that stuff. And
Is do you know when they're technically Nick's herring supposed to be?
when then I have no idea. I haven't heard anything yet.
Because
Okay.
every
Doctor,
time I see the panel, every time I see the panel, all these panels could be NASA. I don't know. It's like I see all these people in suits, and I'm thinking to myself, a lot of these people, they're not. Some of them aren't lifers. What I mean by lifers is they're not guaranteed they're going to get elected the next time. There are some lifers. So if a person is not a lifer, will they even tell you? You know what I mean? I mean, if you got top secret stuff, the only way to keep a top secret is when you have like say I want to tell you, Anthony, I'm gonna tell you top secret. I will never let you go because I can't afford to have you go leak things out. So how often are these people on these panels are even given the information that I guess you could say we really want to know?
Mm. David, I don't understand what you mean. Yes, I know that this is not all of the government. I don't know what that means. Right now, like I said, you have the UFO office that's involved and NASA. Those are the only two government agencies for the United States that I know of that are involved right now. Is there something else that you're thinking of that I'm not hitting? That's the only two American offices that I know that are involved right now. I don't think
Yeah,
there's anybody else. There's private. There's plenty of private, like MUFON and stuff like that. I mean, right down to me, Ron, and Eric, and the stuff we do out in the field, investigating the deep state. Well, what do you mean by deep state? The men in black, the people that we don't see, the people that we don't have proof or evidence for that they even exist, aside from stories. You. I mean, I really can't put that into like factual evidence. There's nothing tangible documentation wise that we could put our hands on. As far as Men in Black go, the only thing I can think of now, maybe these OSAP or ATIP teams were going around collecting information for a couple of years, and people, were saying, I had a sighting, and these people came to visit me from the government. It was probably those guys, OSAP, ATIP, whatever they changed their acronyms to now, that were doing it. Men in Black, and when you think Men in Black, that goes back to like Majestic 12 days when they came with the black hats and the black suits. Those were the MJ-12 guys that were going around.
yeah, and I'm sure nowadays the same kind of groups aren't exactly wearing black and a black
Right.
hat because otherwise, I mean, like, hey, look, Men in Black, watch out. They probably look just like one of us the way we dress.
But they do definitely, like private agencies like Skunkworks and stuff like that. They definitely do have their special access programs where they're trying to reverse engineer God only knows why. There are programs like that do exist, but that's private companies funded and umbrellaed under the military regime.
Black projects are signed to private groups to
Exactly,
avoid
Danny.
government oversight.
Exactly.
But couldn't that also, once you get the private sector, we know the private sector is more reliable than I believe the government is. But if you sign stuff to the private sector, would that be harder to control to make sure they're not leaking stuff out? It's hard, it's just
When you make, these private sectors, right? When the government picks them up and puts them under the umbrella of the government, never mind they're making buku bucks because the government's paying for it, right? But they pretty much get shielded from any kind of trouble because they're covered under that government umbrella where they can't get in trouble for anything that they're doing. There's no oversight for them. You know what I mean? Because it's a private corporation. It's crazy.
uh-oh. I hear that Men in Black wears blue now.
Could possible.
Nice. Robert White. I missed the last time he was live. Yeah, we're still waiting up on him. Hopefully he's got internet. We don't know if his power went out because he texted me 22 minutes before the show time.
Let
So
me.
hopefully he's got a
I'm gonna mute
power
my.
out.
I'm gonna mute myself and give him a call. All right.
Okay, you got it. You got it. And while he does that, um, what was I going to show you? Let me just show a video. Give me a second. Yeti captured on video in our Argia. Let's just have some fun.
Footage of a Yeti or Bigfoot filmed in Atagea and featured on a European television news station prior to 2014 isn't very long, around 5 or 6 seconds or so. However, if you take a close look at the video, some interesting characteristics of a Bigfoot posture and locomotion can be identified, and several characteristics of a suit can be ruled out. Even though this creature is moving very fast, it maintains the Bigfoot leaning posture through the entire video. This frame, not only can you see the face and nose, you can also see several colors and tones in the face, head, and body, more typical of a living animal than a suit. In this frame, you can see the muscle definition in the leg and calf region. This is a place most costumes fail. They hang and have no definition. This is amazing, showing this bulging calf. Now here's a very exciting frame. Look how far back this thing brings its leg. Thinker Thunker shows how the average shin rise in humans is around 52 degrees, and the famous Patty video, she averaged around 73 degrees. This thing appears to have around 90 degrees.
So Long Island Bigfoot. You maybe you already seen this video footage. I don't know, but Mike, when you look at this footage and you hear the guy saying no human can run like that, but what's your opinion? What's your opinion? I'd like to know, Mike, what's your opinion? Do you think that can actually be a real footage of Bigfoot, or is this a known hoax? I'm curious. I'm really curious. They don't have uniforms. It's secret squirrel. It's BS. Isn't it BS? I mean, I'm looking at that thing too, and I'm like, you can have anybody come out and say, look, it can't run like a human. Look how far the leg up. Listen, you can get your legs up in all these different kind of weird positions, your body in weird positions, and you're only shooting it. This thing walking around all the bushes and watch its footing. Not what I imagine to be legit. I have never seen it before. You never seen it before? Okay. This is why we share. This is why we share. Because you know, so I mean, you know, it is what it is here. Let me pop up another video here. I got some other ones. Another Bigfoot caught on camera. Here, let me see what this one is.
Hey.
Yeah.
I just spoke to Robert. What happened was you told him 1 o'clock Eastern is the message, the text you sent him, 1 o'clock Eastern. So he said it was probably miscommunication because you're in
West Coast,
different time zones. So he said if you want, because he's on his way back now to be here for 1. So he said if you want to just end it and come back at 1, he'll be here. But he was expecting for 1 o'clock, not for 12.
Oh, so that's 10 a.m. my time. Yeah, East Coast, West Coast. That's what I. Okay.
But he said he'll definitely be here at 1 if you want him to. Which is in 40 minutes.
That's a good one because I already got people here.
Unless you just want to go kill an hour, 40 minutes. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to show people. Now, this video here is supposedly a Bigfoot caught on camera. So, yeah, you're right, Danny. I don't like to do cuts off. Hey, everybody, come back in 40 minutes. I'm already up and ready. So, this is a Bigfoot, another Bigfoot supposedly caught on camera. So, let's take a look at that black back. hovering right here. So it looks like this thing got closer, but the blackness has never once focused to be better, unless now, Anthony, you take cameras at night. Could this be a night shot? That is that bright, or is that just a black and white daylight camera?
That's a great question. To be honest with you, I mean, I'm looking at the color of the trees and everything. It doesn't look like it's a night shot. It looks like it's a day shot. To be honest with you, it looks like a cloudy, dreary day. With just a regular camera.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. I'm going to sit here and say it's, I think it's going to be a hoax. I think the whole thing is a hoax because I'm thinking here. Well, first thought is, why is a picture black and white? Is it to make the black stand out more? Why is
Honestly, I don't think the picture's black and white. I just think it's a bright, cloudy day.
So? Okay.
Yeah, because you could see hints of green on the foliage and stuff. I could see different color browns in there. I think it's a very bright, cloudy day.
And while it's moving, how come it never focuses in? Like even there, it's still all black. Like,
well, again, I've taken photos of what I thought were could be Sasquatch, and when you zoom in, the whole face is black. I think
okay, that's why I'm asking. I know you
just possibly has to do with your camera aperture and settings not being set correctly for those different things that it comes out like that. Because I've taken some photos that are just like that.
Man, Ghost Dragon is always friendly.
Good man, Ghost Dragon. What's up, buddy?
Man, he's first class. I really appreciate that. Here, let me give him a thank you. Man, he really is truly first class. So I guess, would you say this one might be a little bit too hard? Trying to it's just we just don't know if this could be real or fake.
I have no idea, man.
It's hard, especially when, like you're talking about, when you had your experience in.
You can fake anything today, Eric. The technology today is insane. That could be a guy with a rain slicker on, a black rain slicker on, for all we know. You know what I mean? Who knows? Could just be a hunter sitting there. I don't know.
Yeah, I got tons of these. Let me see. Where's this one? A Bigfoot. Now here's one. They're saying this is maybe a Bigfoot juvenile on a pole, but I think this one.
Is that a bear?
I don't think that is not a juvenile Bigfoot.
No, that looks like a beehive.
What is it? Oh,
that thing,
yeah, this just really doesn't feel right.
A juvenile seeing a human. I think that thing would have ran.
Oh my God, did I catch that on camera? No, I saw that. I know. Okay, I'm leaving. Oh shit.
Yeah. What do you guys think? That's been since '99.
Yeah, it looks like a beehive or something up there.
Yeah, that is.
Like something wrapped on the tree, that shouldn't be there. Could be even some kind of weird growth.
Could be not beehive. It's too dark. Oh, too dark. Okay, I can see that.
It's something that shouldn't be.
Yeah,
there.
It's not a juvenile. I think if it was, it would have jumped off and ran.
Yeah, it's not no animal.
Yeah, and I got a text from. Actually, we're gonna get him sooner than later. He's actually gonna be. I'll be there soon, brother.
That's been a burl.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But he can take his time because
I told him. I said, yeah, no rush. I got
tons. Now here's a Bigfoot sound, and I think it sounds like human, but I want you guys to listen to this and give me your opinion, because I think this sounds human. You guys hear that in chat? I'll do it one more time. mean, I don't know why. I think that's human.
Very possible.
Because when I try to remember the sound that I heard, it's in that rhythm, but more distortion. Like you hit a guitar in a distortion, more vibrant. That didn't sound vibrant. It sounds like a man trying to make it
Try to
vibrant.
mimic it. Yeah.
But I mean, it's not like we got 100 Bigfoot standing in the way doing these voices for us to determine elk. Yes. Yep.
I'll tell you the weirdest thing when Mike and I, Long Island Bigfoot, when we encountered that Sasquatch up in the Catskills, I was surprised it didn't scream at us or it didn't try to bluff charge us. Nothing, man. All that thing did was hold that trail so we didn't advance to it. You know what I'm saying? That's all it did. The other ones that were with it were like throwing rocks and making all these weird charging sounds and stopping and all that stuff. But the main one just stood on that trail and didn't move.
No, you're a camera person. This one
Did an
here.
Oklahoma hunter capture a Bigfoot running across a trail camera? Notice how the bipedal subject moves at lightning speed. Do you think this is squatchy? Let us know what you think in the comments.
So that guy's claimed that the camera, the way that it's going to look like because it's running faster or something, that's going to capture like that.
Huh. I don't.
Nobody
Again,
says-
I mean, I don't know what kind of camera. Is it a trail camera? Is it a video camera?
It's supposed to be a trail cam.
Did an Oklahoma hunter capture a Bigfoot running across a trail camera?
Trail cam.
Notice how the bipedal subject moves at lightning speed. Do you think this is squatchy? Let us know what you think in the comments.
He said like Butto like runs out of whatever you just said right there. I like I said, I don't even know if what he's saying is correct.
I don't know. I don't know. Does anybody in the chat work with trail cameras? I had one. I just I never caught an image on it like that, so I don't know if that's something that I guess it's something that could happen. But I'm sure there's somebody in the chat that works with trail cameras every now and again that can explain better than I.
If somebody showed me this, I would have just thought, oh, it could be a ghost. If it's not, if it's unfiltered, if it's
Could be a person too.
it could be a person too. Yeah, it's the shape of a person.
Weird looking image though, right? I don't even see arms on that. Oh, actually, look. I mean, it's hard to tell, but it looks like it's got like a little chicken wing arm, right?
Yeah, like this, like this.
Yeah. Look how small that arm is too. It's like that big.
Looks like he's got a tummy here. He's got a big
It's like
tummy.
a chicken wing. That's funny. Could be a ghost. Could be anything. Weird stuff. That's why I like, me personally. That's why I like my audience, the people that watch my show, to send in their personal footage. So I can always go back to them and ask them the questions.
Yep. And then I got another one here. Or is it the creature? Is it Bigfoot? The one, there's a certain one I wanted to show. Is it this one? Let me see this. Oh.
Hit that one more time.
It's like right there.
Fast. There it is.
What's this? It's a naked dude running from a pissed off husband. Or okay, cheating on the wife. Okay. or yeah, that's that. And then here's is it Bigfoot? Now this one, Let me take this one off. I got another one here. Where is it? Is it? Here we go. Let's check out this one. Now, when you watch this, look at the trees, how dramatically moves people.
Yeah, this was crazy.
This stuff has to be CGI all the way.
Or there's a tractor that we're not seeing, and it's pulling the tree. Because how the hell would that happen?
Exactly.
Right?
Because something like this would have been all over the national news.
Oh, forget it. You know what it reminds me of? When they go to get the Christmas tree for Rockefeller Center, and they bring that big boom crane in, and they anchor all the straps to it, and then they cut the bottom and then they drag it out. That's kind of what that reminds me of.
And then let me see here. This next one is a Yeti. Let me get the Yeti.
Footage of a Yeti or Bigfoot filmed in Adagea and featured on a European television news station prior to 2014 isn't very long, around 5 or 6 seconds or so. However, if you take a close look at the video, some interesting characteristics of a Bigfoot posture and locomotion can be identified, and several characteristics of a suit can be ruled out. Even though this creature is moving very fast, it may...
Yeah, I already showed that one. I'm sorry.
Didn't you just say you can rule out a creature in a costume? Is that what he said?
Yeah, he said it's not a person in a costume because the way the legs bent up. I already showed that one. Yeah,
that
I know, right?
Exactly like a guy in a costume, man.
It's
the size of a person. You know, these things when you encounter them out in the forest. You know, Eric, you've seen one, right? They're massive. You can't even. Okay, listen. You can't even comprehend how big they are unless you literally lay your eyes on one of them. They are gigantic. When you literally lay your eyes on one, you're saying to yourself, this just really can't be happening right now. That's how big they are.
Exactly. Now this one here, is it a dog man or Bigfoot here? They're saying this could be a dog man or Bigfoot. Let's see. Could that just be a bear and they're slowing it down on purpose? What do you guys think? I don't know if that's a dogman or Bigfoot. I think it's a bear because look like right there, that face looks almost like a shape of a bear, and the guy was just slowing it down.
Yeah,
to make it look like that could be something that's not a bear. So what do you think that is, Robert?
I don't know, man. I just hopped in here. Time differences. Why do they exist? If it's 7 o'clock here on the East Coast and 5 o'clock means it's dark over there in California, why do we even have time changes?
I don't know.
Why? To confuse everyone.
I know.
It doesn't make no sense.
Same thing with daylight savings time, another waste.
Yeah.
So what's hard is, Robert, like you're so used to Eastern time. I'm so used to Western time. And sometimes myself, I forget, time differences.
Well, you did 3 hours, but Pacific time is actually 4 hours. But 4 hours, you were close, but I hate time differences. It don't make no sense. I don't know what that is. But the video before with that that creature on the game trail, its bottom end, and as everyone said, its arms, how it was like chicken arms.
Chicken arm, right?
I've seen naked drunk guys walking around quite often, more than I like to admit.
Where you hanging out, buddy?
South Jersey, basically Alabama and New Jersey. It's wild out here. You come out here on a good night, 4th of July weekend, you're going to see that rolling down the street. But its bottom end, how it was disproportioned,
right?
It wasn't correct. There was some sort of auguration, some sort of
disproportionate, right?
Yeah, disproportionate. It just wasn't the normal fat guy out of shape or a very tall person. It was something very strange. That was a cool video, Eric. Yeah.
You know, Robert, I let the cat out of the bag. I told everybody that, the real reason why he's late, because you're signing the contract. And if people don't know that we are now going to be the new ZZ Top.
Because ladies go crazy for those little green men. I have Gibsons. I play Gibson's guitar. Everyone has called me the Disclosure ZZ Top, and they say it trying to insult me. I'm like, they're the greatest people of all time. 3 little boys from Texas.
I love that, man.
People can call me anything they want.
For those little green men. You got to coin that, man. That's great.
Yeah. I gotta make a T-shirt. Ladies go crazy for the little green men. And if you've seen some of the people, these alien abductees and the women that are involved with this, let me tell you, they're not the bottom of the barrel by any means. They're like women that you would never imagine or expect to have paranormal experiences. You're like, whoa, man, obviously these aliens got a thing for all the hot chicks in the world. Right?
Yeah, man. You got a lot of stuff going on in your neck of the woods, man. And you're not far from me at all. You're right over the bridge. And
nuclear plant. If you live near a nuclear plant, regardless if it's paranormal, interdimensional beings, ghosts, etc. If you have a lot of water, I live in a very creaky, I'm surrounded by water. New Jersey is essentially an island. And I live close to the Delaware Bay. Not far from there, where the Delaware River starts to become a bay before you get down to like Cape May and Wildwood.
Yeah, by the Delaware Water Gap.
Yeah, we got Dover Air Force Base right across the river. They patrol the nuclear plant. The Delaware Bay Authority, they do all the Coast Guard stuff around the plant, making sure that a ship don't run into the nuclear facility. That would be bad for all of us. Where I live, they've handed out nuclear radiation pills.
Really?
We live within the vicinity. They've been handing out pills for the past maybe 15 years. When I was a little kid, they actually came and they asked my mom for baby teeth to do testing on. I never got the results. My mom never got the results. But I looked in the Freedom of Information Act and public records, and we are nuked. We are radioactive. But
so you think the from the nuclear facility itself, stuff is seeping into the ground? And
absolutely. I had scientists, and this may get me whacked off and killed by the nuclear. No, I'm not afraid of Men in Black. I'm not afraid of black projects. I'm not afraid of aliens under Earth, on Earth, or above Earth. I'm not afraid of anything. Let me be absolutely honest. When it comes to these energy companies, they're some of the most thugless, absolutely dangerous people you could ever come across. Oil tycoons, nuclear energy sector. When it comes to nuclear energy, they're absolutely ruthless. I had a whistleblower. I'm not going to say their name. I actually talked to Colonel Heckert. That was in Washington, D.C. Got to hang out with Colonel Heckert.
Yeah.
He was one of the pilots for the first YouTube programs and working on the Blackbird. Also retrieving nuclear satellites that would come down and contaminate areas. And he was part of a retrieval crew.
Right, the retrieval crew for the satellites.
Because these satellites had nuclear technology, so when they landed in an area and fell apart, there was contamination. He
Right.
was part of the retrieval, and he really wants to talk to me more about that. But I actually met a person. I gotta be careful. I'm not going to say if it's he or she. They did water testing near our nuclear plant, and back in the 90s, there was multiple leaks. They filled out all the paperwork. They did the PhDs, etc. All the water levels and contaminants, etc. They handed it into the Salem Hope Creek nuclear plant. They crumpled it up, threw it in the trash, and that's all the public got to hear about it.
I believe that, without a doubt.
And they're dangerous. I've had a lot of other whistleblowers come forward after me having an ex-security guard that worked at the nuclear plant in 1977 when they just built the second sun. They called it a sun. All the local people, we called it a sun. For a bunch of dumb hillbillies out in the country, everyone understood the technologies of nuclear fission and
Right.
the atoms bouncing off one another, and this creates a sun, a source of energy that we call nuclear. Nuclear is just a word to distract us from what it really is, but you could call it the second sun, and that's in 1977. They all called the nuclear plant the second sun. It was very, very important that I note that. And one night in 1977, he was on a security team for Yo Security. I did a video on this, and this all comes into my UFO crash story. It's all interconnected. There's nothing separated. They were watching, and around like 7:30 at night, it was nighttime. It wasn't the summertime. 7:30 was actually dark. And they witnessed an object come over the nuclear plant, and it set off all the radiation alarms for 25 to 30 minutes. And the security outside and the people inside were freaking out. They thought they were in a full meltdown. The only people that saw the ball of light, I'm just going to call it a ball of light, that's how they describe it. I can't tell you if it was a flying saucer or a triangular craft. They just saw a ball of light hovering above the nuclear plant for about 25 minutes to 30 minutes, approximately. During this time, all the radiation alarms were going off. They were all freaking out because they thought they were going to have a meltdown, and they thought everyone within 50 miles to 100 miles will have radiation poison or die if there is a meltdown. It's a serious situation, especially in 1977. This was when nuclear reactors and plants were just starting to go up. So people really didn't have any clue. This was before Chernobyl. You know what I mean? People really didn't have an understanding. And long story short, for 30 minutes, the radioactive alarms were going off the whole time. And then when the object above the nuclear plant left, it all went silent. Everyone just kind of wiped the sweat. Whew, that was a close one. They went back to their patrols, their stations. The security firm was called Yo Security out of Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I have a substantial amount of evidence and names and companies that did these security firms. After talking to the whistleblower I talked to, it turns out that the nuclear plant had 4 other security firms before, one of them being the New Jersey State Police.
Okay.
But they kept having these sorts of incidents, and when they would have the incident, they would just fire everyone and get a new security squad. The following morning, all the security from Yo Security of Cherry Hill, working at the Hope Creek, Salem County nuclear power plant in Salem, right on the Delaware River, they all come back the next morning. They pick up their guns. They were armed. They were all armed with 9mm, etc. They would go to their point about 10 minutes, 15 minutes into their shift. They were all called. The entire security team was called to the front of the gates of the nuclear power plant. There they saw a yuppie guy. He wasn't not a Men in Black or anything like that, but he was wearing like a polo, very yuppie, like some sort of guy that owns stuff. You know how they dress.
Yeah.
it's business casual.
Right.
And all the security guys are like, what happened last night? They were confused. They didn't know what was going on. And they were all asking what happened last night. Do you know the official explanation of what happened at that whole situation? The gentleman said there was a radioactive nuclear cloud that hovered all the way here from China. And it just so happened to hover for 25 to 30 minutes.
Right.
My quotation fingers can't get any bigger right now, boys.
Yeah.
25 to 30 minutes over this random plant in New Jersey. Didn't set off any of the other nuclear plants across the country. Just all the way over here on the East Coast, set it off, and that's why the alarms went off. That was the official explanation. They were all asked to hand in their guns, to hand in their badges. Oh, yeah. And
I just made a
is that Salem County? That looks a lot like it.
I looked up where you were, and I just made a little simulation to kind of portray what you were talking about, so they can get a visual.
Yeah, and imagine a black dot. Imagine that just being some sort of light, almost like a lantern or something like that. Just like a glowing, substantial lightning ball flying through the sky. That's what it was, and at the end of the day, it all comes down to gamma rays. A lot of talk about these neutrino particles by my good friend Eric Hecker, one of the DC whistleblowers that testified in front of Senate, and it's being brought to Congress.
Yep.
He worked in Antarctica 2010 for 366 days. He was the plumber. He was from Long Island, bro. Like, you're from Staten Island.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Eric and his story. It's a dynamite story.
Yep, he's legit, and it's not extraterrestrial or none of this. It's just some of the technologies that we have, which makes you really scratch your head. But
do you think the technology that we have might have came from extraterrestrial?
Absolutely, reverse engineered. We are advanced. Our privatized black projects is. I keep making this point, and personally, I'm not a fan of Democrats or Republicans or any politician. I've never voted in my life, and I never will because they're all worthless. With that being said, this isn't a Democratic or a Republican situation. This isn't Senate. This isn't Congress. This isn't Trump. This isn't Biden. This isn't Bush. This isn't Obama. The last person to have control of these black projects was Eisenhower. After Eisenhower, they became their own country. We could call it
their own country.
Their own department. We can call it own country because our country, America, the country we all live in, guess what? Senate, Congress, President, regardless of what party they are, they have no idea.
No control what's going on. Right.
And these companies are charging $8,000 for an 1/8-inch Allen key. This is how they are funding these black projects. I've seen the evidence. I've seen the stuff from Senate and Congress.
Maybe you can explain a little bit better, because earlier when we came in, a couple people were, the Men in Black and all that. I was trying to explain. Back in the day when we had like MJ12 and all that, that's where your top hat Men in Black persona derived from. Today, it's more like, ORSAP, ATIP teams. Those guys are like our government officials that are trying to figure out the, secretive stuff that's going on with the UFOs. But above them is a whole nother agency of people that have control even over the president, like telling him what to do.
Yeah.
What would you classify those people as today? Is it because they're not the Men in Black? There's another name for them. I don't even know what to call them these days. Have you come across like a classification for them, a terminology that they're using?
Other than black projects,
just spooks, basically.
These are people that have a certain legality to them because it's beyond the sake of the false thing that Luis Elizondo and all these national security national security. And I got news for you. These two black men in, black suits, I'm sorry, these two men in black suits. And, a lot of people said, did they have facial hair? Anyone in the government or military, they're going to be shaved. They're clean cut. Police officers, Anthony, you got a background in that. And Eric, you're, we all know how military. No one got a beard or looks like me in the military. They're all clean shaved. So when someone asks, where the men in black were they? Did they have any facial hair? Absolutely not. But all I can speak for is the gentleman from Dover Air Force Base in his uniform that was standing off to the side and kind of managing these two clones, robots, whatever they are. I'm just calling them that because they absolutely look as human as you and I.
Mm-hmm.
They just do things that we never do, which that can be military psyops to really get into the minds if you're trying to convince people that psyop. Yeah, I know military tactics, and I would do the same thing, as messed up as that sounds, but there was something else. There was another factor. I know I have a lot of friends that are in the military, a lot of very credible backgrounds, and they really don't act like that. I've never seen them act like that. They're weird. But they kind of interlooped it, ever since, I have an interview coming up with Laura Eisenhower, great-granddaughter of President Eisenhower and, General Eisenhower. And we got a video up. We're going to talk about some of, Project Mockingbird, how it's an active effort to anything that is actually a UFO, they want to convince the public that it was something government. Anything that is government, reverse engineer technology, and they're using it for clandestine operations, drug smuggling, guns, human trafficking, etc. Then they tell the public this was a UFO. This is what has the flip and flop that's been going on for a long time. And when they're doing clandestine things and advanced technologies, the best get out of jail free card would to convince whoever saw it on the ground it's an alien or a UFO, and then call them crazy, even though the aliens and the actual UFOs also exist. It's the catch-22. It's double jeopardy. That's the answer to these projects, Men in Black or whoever. I just had a friend telling me about a man going, actually you got to meet him. I met him down in DC. He was at the Pine Bush conference. He has pictures with you. He has the beard.
Jesse Pete's buddy.
Yeah, Jesse Pete's buddy.
Oh my goodness. I was just talking to him yesterday. I'm so bad with names, man.
He wears snapbacks, got the beard, nice little burly beard.
Big tall built guy.
Catching catfish and carp and all that. Yeah, our good friend, in case he's watching, what's up, brother? He was telling me about, this gentleman back in the 1950s talking about these Men in Black characters back in the 1950s. Like, this is an old phenomenon. He was down in D.C. and we didn't talk in D.C., but we caught up afterwards, and I think he kind of just found out because he follows you. He was like, I think you're a serious researcher. I'll talk to you, but he talks to you too. And he was up there in the Pine Bush thing. He's been to a lot of the places you've been. He's an avid researcher. The guy reads multiple books a day, going back all throughout time. And when you really just start to put everything together, you realize it's something else going on for sure. But yeah, UFO crash story.
I'm taking it all in. That's quite a load he gave us right there. That's
just the preface. That's nothing compared to.
I'm still curious. What's in a radiation pill? Like what the ingredients are in there?
I don't know.
That's supposed to help you out. I mean, that's
some sort of a doxide. I don't know. I've never taken them. I don't need them because certain beings thrive off of radiation. Fortunately for me, 6'8", red bearded mutant Nephilim radiation, I loved it. I used to swim in the river.
Christopher Wade. That's who you're talking about. Christopher Wade.
Oh yeah, Christopher Wade. That's it. What's up, Chris? But yeah, I grew up, and even when I lived in Florida, the beach I used to go to was right near a nuclear plant. I cannot get enough nuclear radiation. I love it. I thrive off radiation, and some of these hybrid programs and things that are going on this planet, the offspring or science projects that are created in these test tubes, we thrive off of radiation, and they place us in spots where we will get a substantial amount of radiation because some beings come from star systems where their gamma rays coming off of their suns can be ultraviolet. They can be extreme gamma rays. Just because someone is native to this planet, for another species to come here and I don't want to use the word infiltrate, but to introduce their genetics within humanity, we're all humans, and humans are extraterrestrials. I'm no different than we're all aliens, all of us. But certain genetic modifications rely, and actually it can be valuable to have high radiation due to the sun systems and ultraviolet rays that we're used to in Orion are very different from what is here on Terra, planet Earth, Gaia, whatever people call it. I don't care. We're all on the same rock.
This
right?
might be stupid question, but can you think maybe if we got rid of all the nuclears, we all went with pure clean energy, could crafts use clean energy like they can with nuclear by any chance, you think?
That's an amazing question. And you know how we have plugs on the wall that run AC DC circuit? Right. That's really primitive. Nikola Tesla knew how primitive that was. Nikola Tesla's technology of taking the Earth's natural electromagnetic field and harnessing that and use that, and then ancient civilizations creating these things that look like this that most of you may know, called pyramids, that were what most people don't know. We just talked about this. Above a pyramid, there is another pyramid. As below, so above. Yeah. The energy that comes to that point of the Earth and where they put the pyramids are always on ley lines. Actually, I was just watching your video yesterday, the Coral Castle.
Right, and the ley lines from Coral Castle go all the way to the Vatican, to the Pope's window.
All right.
Isn't that crazy?
And you saw me in the comments. I was commenting everything she was saying later on, and I was just kind of having a fun at it because the creator of Coral, he was a brother of mine. And it's these, technology, certain magnetisms, and you can create a tool about, well, the one he created was about this big.
Like a box, right.
But these days, they've been able to modify these technologies into almost a computer chip that could do these things. But, yeah, I'm getting way off topic. But what Eric was asking is, for example, my good friend, he was actually on the whistleblowers list that was presented in D.C., and he was on the show, The Alaskan Triangle, and his name is Bruce Cornett. There he is, Christopher Wade. Yeah, I love that guy. He's awesome. He was the only other guy with a beard there other than me, so, we had to become friends.
Yeah, great guy.
But Chris, he's awesome, man, catching great fish, and he's very knowledgeable.
Very talented guy. He's like a walking encyclopedia, that guy.
He reads. He told me he reads 5 books a day. I don't read any.
I'm gonna have him on. He's a great
dude. You should. I want to have him on too. But so going back to this pyramid, Bruce Cornett, his uncle back in the day actually was up in Alaska, and they discovered, the military did, a black pyramid that was underground emitting certain frequencies, and the military locked it. It's in season 2, episode 1 or 2. I believe it's episode 1. It's called the Black Triangle of the Alaskan Triangle. And although, just like my friend Eric and Bruce, they were both on the Alaskan Triangle, I'm going to Alaska next month. And what you see on History Channel they cut out anything that you actually find. And I have two separate people that were on that show. He actually found the base that was stationed, that his uncle was stationed at. They never showed it in the show. My friend Eric, when they took him out over the water to find a submersible object that was in the bottom of the thing, they actually found it. They don't show that. They only show the search of. They never give you a truth, because channels like History Channel, Travel Channel, all of these people, the biggest UFO names you know, they're all getting paid big bucks by the UFO guys that are controlling the scene.
Do they want to, that they're being stopped by another agency, say you cannot show this? Or they're being forced to not show it?
It's not the producers. It's not all that. They were there with my friends.
I think it'd be bigger ratings if they show something.
If they actually did. But the people that are funding cable television, they're not playing along. It's not, I'm not talking bad about the producers, the directors, because they're there filming it all. It's not like they just turned off their cameras. They were stoked because they are like, we can't wait to show this to the public. Once it gets to the main editing and all that, it's because every single cable television network is controlled, and they have fat suitcases dropped off with money. And every UFO narrative, every alien abduction story you've ever heard, by the time it makes the mass media and the public's notification of it, the narrative has already been controlled. And this is exactly what happened to my story. And the reason no one knows my story is because I expose exactly what they're doing. They told my young mom exactly what they would be doing. And I've been watching for 33 years now. It's been 33. June, it was April, it was 33 years. So Project Mockingbird, it's still in effect.
Wow.
Airspace, what's up, brother?
Oh, it's great. This is, you ain't say nothing different that when you're talking about fucking the networks and all that. And they don't need to show you all because they got the people watching anyway.
Yeah.
They just put in music to make it sound interesting. Then I'm always wondering if they ever catch anything real and they hold it back, and you're confirming that you heard
75%, because all you need of the truth is 75%. You want to hold people captive, give them 75% truth. You don't need to give them 100%. You can store the other 25% for the black projects to weaponize these advanced technologies, health breakthroughs, etc., vehicles, etc., humanitarian aid, whatever. That other 25% can be used towards the black project, these private sector military complexes that have went rogue out of our, our country's, politics.
I gotta get your opinion on this because you explain why networks don't show the good stuff. They might be stopped and all that. And so every time somehow in the UFO community consider this guy to be a whistleblower, like the last one is all on TV as a whistleblower. If networks aren't allowed to show this, certain people aren't allowed to show this, how can a whistleblower be allowed to tell their story without going to jail or giving out government secrets and all that? When I hear a whistleblower, I'm like, oh, this guy's a fraud, because if he had truth, how would he be allowed to say it, or why nothing happens? I'm curious your opinion on that.
I'll tell you, beautiful question there. Beautiful. Just came back from DC. This past Christmas, Congress, Senate passed the Whistleblowers Act. Hence all these people coming after the guy that's the zombie that's running this country right now, and his son and all that situation. Yeah, I'm not political. I was just hanging out with congressmen and senators and like Tim Burchett. Yo, he's one of us boys. Yeah. Yo, make no mistake, that guy is he's with it. But what's going on with what you're talking about and the whole situation of how do you know, and the whistleblowers, how are they protected? Last Christmas, they passed the law protecting. And for example, I'm the 122nd official whistleblower of UFO crash retrievals. And I was mentioned in the National Press Club by Stephen Greer. He didn't say my name. We were hanging out the night before. I was a part of a very exclusive private thing. I didn't know this, but I was just connecting, just like how I talked to all you guys. Just so happened I was talking to all of Greer's assistants, all the people that work for him. I went to this VIP party, the after screening for the Lost Century and how to regain it, how to retake it, these advanced technologies that have been weaponized where it should be free for all humanity. Amazing thing, the Lost Century and how to regain it. Check it out, the Lost Century, Stephen Greer's new thing. It's talking about Tesla's energies and why are we all in debt? Why is there poverty? It's been designed that way to make us all poor and to be in debt when there's free energy. I'm waving my hand right now in free electricity. This don't cost me a dime to wave my hands around. We can design devices to harness this. Stephen Greer is actually building a laboratory to develop these technologies. It will be broadcasted live 24/7 with cameras. If there's any technological breakthrough, the entire public will see it. There will be no patents. It will be open source, just like how the internet was created. It's when you try to patent something, that's when you go missing there. Getting back to what you're talking about. We're open sourcing and I got math problems for harnessing a supercharged photon.
Can I ask you a question, Robert? Sorry to cut you off. You're talking about free energy?
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you a question. About 10 years ago, Dr. Greer came out with doing the free energy, right? He crowdfunded for it. He collected $500,000 for it, and nothing ever happened. Now here we are 10 years later, and it's happening again with the crowdfunding, the free energy. You don't find that a little odd?
But no, all of that crowdfunding, all of that actually happened, it didn't happen as quick as people thought. But that's exactly what is building this. It is actually going towards that. It's just happening now. It just took a while to get all the lawyers. There's over 250 lawyers working in 30 states. We're hitting McDonnell Douglas, Rockwell, Lockheed, everyone with a RICO case. We're hitting them with the case.
So the reason why it's stalled out from then to now is, I guess litigation and all that stuff.
Litigation, politics, dude. It's politics. And, anything in this country, when you're involved in politics, which unfortunately we got to use politics to actually make something law, right? If we're just on YouTube saying our own laws, but we don't go through Washington, D.C. and spend 5 to 10 years fighting litigation to make it become a reality.
Right.
You're just a random guy talking on YouTube. It's a brutal process, and trust me, the frustration off camera. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Michael Stratt, he's wonderful. Eric, the frustration behind the cameras and when mainstream media didn't cover this event and us actually bringing a RICO against some of the biggest companies with senators and Congress members' names signed on the RICO. That's more important. You didn't see it on major news networks. You heard all about this Las Vegas psyop. You heard about this other whistleblower of non-human intelligences, which I've been telling everyone for the past 2 years from my great friend, Dr. Bruce Maccabee, retired Navy physicist that studied these UFOs and has 50mm and 8mm films stashed away with UFOs on them that he hasn't even watched. Given to him directly from the Navy.
From Freaky Geek. What happens with all the crowdfunding money? Does it go to escrow, or how is it used?
It's built up, and when you got to do something that takes 5 to 10 years, you got to use that money to do something else to make sure that you're around and still talking about it 5, 10 years from now.
Yeah, that's true.
Anthony, think, right? Your channel and your channel, Eric, all of us, we're fan funded. our fans, our subscribers, they send us gifts and stuff, and they really allow us to do this. And I mean, it doesn't cover everything. So much comes out of our own pockets
Yes, it
to
does.
just be able to do this. And trust me, I know both of you know about this. But like, imagine if someone came up to you like, well, you just got the fan funding to actually do this, but you're going to have to wait until 10 years until you have it.
Right.
What would you do with the funding? I need to invest this to make sure I'm still around 10 years from now to hold these MFers accountable for screwing around and making this political process, the politics of it, just to get a contract, to get the land, to get the building permits, to get this, especially when you're creating advanced technologies. Do you think you can buy any piece of land in any neighborhood and just build a warehouse and have highly classified experiments going on? No. It's years of paperwork. And a lot of people in this, and not just Stephen Greer, so many others, there's a reason they make it so difficult, and it's to stop it from being created. They don't want this created. They'd rather keep petrodollar. When I was in the Middle East, we call it the petrodollar.
Without a doubt. Let me tell you something. Those families, those Saudi families that live on the petrodollar, there's not even a word for how rich they are. They make like billions of dollars a day. Those families that own those oil.
You can't imagine. None of
there
us
isn't
can.
even a name for how rich they are. Never mind trillionaire. They're like beyond that. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. I could see how things can get held up when you go up against people like that, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
When regular people, even regular people that have money, even a regular person like Elon Musk, if he was to go up against the petrol industry, he would lose.
Well, here's the thing about Elon, and I can't go too much into it publicly, but I whispered in Stephen Greer some information about Space Force and SpaceX, and my family member, I'm not going to say who, that is a high clearance operator that just retired last year, and he was building all these toys for.
We have a bad storm.
Sorry, I'm here.
No, all right.
But there's a privatized space program, and then there is the public space program. And when I say SpaceX has flying saucers, etc., no, they haven't. When I say that Space Force has a weaponized space station that is just about to be launched, and Congress or Senate has no idea about it, I'm not getting into details to protect my family's retirement, but my family literally put this thing 3 times larger than Empire State Building, a weaponized space station for the Space Force. They're talking about taking the space station down, but you haven't heard a single group talk about making a new one.
Right.
Name one.
Nothing.
But they're talking about taking it down. When have we ever taken anything down without a plan?
Put something up, or
it's already built.
Right.
It's already built. This is July 2020 when they started putting out. Well, from my contact, my family member that was the operator, high clearance in the underground dumb base underneath Cape Canaveral and Space Force
military base.
There's massive. It is. I mean, come on. The object is 3 times larger than Empire State Building.
Yeah,
imagine having a warehouse where you could build something that was 3 times larger than Empire State Building.
Sure.
That's a big underground.
Massive.
How do you hide something that dramatic that they're creating? Like, you would think maybe more leaks would be out, or maybe they are being out and they're being controlled.
No, your second part. It is out. I've had all the whistleblowers. I have their videos. They worked for my family. I gotta be careful what I say here. My family member that worked there at this certain company, other people that worked with him
also driving back from home and the brand new SpaceX hangar being opened and seeing saucers. They do a TikTok video, and then 2 weeks later, it's taken down. But I saved the videos, and I talked to the guys, and they actually knew who my family member was. And I have multiple people. Also, I'm protecting a lot of people. Just because this whistleblower law was passed doesn't mean there's still a lot more to be written down. Like I said, everything's a process. And, Stephen Greer's like, you need to go public with this. I'm like, I'll give you the information, but it needs to be redacted because those laws haven't been finalized.
Let me ask you this. How crazy did you think it was hearing the story about the guy in the wheelchair seeing the 2 triangular craft when he was doing his military operations, and then the second triangular craft separated from craft 1? Now, whose story did that sound like, Robert?
All I got to say, my great friend, Stephen Digna Jr. Stephen Digna Jr.
Hey, Robert, when you start talking, there's an echo.
I hear it. I'll turn it down.
Not you, Anthony.
Oh, there we are. It's off. So, Stephen Digna
just
Jr.
like my story.
Yeah. And he was stationed in, I believe, California at the Desert Storm Base, where they were going over, basic training and all that. And actually, how he ended up in a wheelchair and all that, they were doing demolition and explosions, and he got hit by a shockwave, not the actual flame. That's why he's not burnt up, but he got hit with a shockwave, and it cracked his, I think, C4 and C5, split it vertically. The shockwave split vertically. Wild stuff.
Terrible, man.
But yeah, I do hear a little echo. I'm trying to work on that. But yeah, his story of the 2 V-shaped crafts coming up and how they interacted when I heard that, and your story, in
I've never
Staten Island,
ever in 30 years heard another story about 2 triangular craft, but separating from the same craft. Never
Same
in
here.
my life.
I've never heard it.
Aside from my own, until that.
Exactly. I was right there when he was telling it, and not just the National Press Club. I got to see him speak for like an hour and a half, full details of this stuff, and it's Raytheon, bro. Like,
but I gotta say, when he came forward and said that, like the validity light bulb went off in my head, like bing. Now a whistleblower has seen the same thing I've been describing that I've seen since '93.
Yeah.
He saw the same goddamn craft.
Yeah.
You know how many people probably said that? This story, no way. 2 triangular crafts separated from each other. And now one of Greer's very own whistleblowers from the military came out and said he's seen the same exact thing.
And I've hung out with Steven personally. He's a good guy. If he was hanging out with all of us, all the whistleblowers, they're so hard to get a hold of. But I promise you, if we're all hanging out with each other and you got to kick it with him, you're like, this. Just like when I heard your story, I'm like, Anthony's legit. No, they're real people.
Like you know a lot of people, and you got pictures of knowing a lot of people, and you got like family members.
Pictures don't mean nothing.
Nah, pictures don't.
I know, but you have more people in certain places than I would ever have to know information. So when, like, Andy and I interviewed this guy that talks about super soldiers going through wormholes to another planet. Is it some of that stuff? Is it too much for you too, or do you believe that
it's too much for me? I'm not a super soldier. I know exactly how it was created. I know the programs my mother was a part of, and I know my experience when I was 3.5 years old and I had a UFO crash behind my house. I also know the men that shot that craft down. We have technologies. We take down UFOs. And then the reverse engineered UFOs that were flying around. And I never believed that it was us that took that UFO. I always thought it was some extraterrestrial species maybe looking out, and maybe there's something bad going on and some sort of extra advanced craft took out the one that crashed behind me. These crafts don't just come here all the way from the galaxy and just go down. They're too far advanced. It don't work that way.
Where do
For
you
weapons
think?
delivery and defense systems, you got wreckage.
Where do you think these triangular craft are coming from, though?
Oh, wonderful question. So should I break it in to my UFO crash story?
Please do, yes.
And then that kind of goes with all that. So it's been an hour in. Thanks everyone that's watching. Hi everyone out there. Make sure you hit that like button, all that good stuff. But yeah, look at that one. That looks very TR3D-ish. You know?
Yeah, unfortunately, the CGI illustrations that you find all have that CGI
too perfect
feel right to it. Like I always describe to Andy when he's trying to re-illustrate what I see. I'm like, you're not going to be able to recreate it. The underbelly of it was like a sheet of black frosted glass. It's reflecting all the foliage as it's coming in. It's not a perfect triangle.
Exomaterials. There are materials that we can't compare to because we do not have them in our modern building. You know, we got crafts that are made up. Maybe we might have a shard of it from a meteorite. Like the black craft that we saw, it was like a meteorite, not shiny glass. Like, yeah, but that texture of that, spot on. And when he told me that story, once again, just like what Anthony was saying, like I've went many years trying to get answers. And when I was down there talking to Colonel Heckert and many others as well, I actually got some answers and the proof I needed to know that it was us that took down this extraterrestrial craft behind my house. Not because they are bad or good or anything, just because they wanted the technology.
Sure, man.
And it was flying within 3 miles. And in 1976, there was a law that was passed about nuclear energy plants. My house was within 3 miles. The creek behind our house here in southern New Jersey, a lot of marshland, a lot of creeks. I used to eat muskrat. We would go muskrat hunting. Real country folk, like basically the Alabama of South Jersey. You know, backwoods. We were eating rats. I'm not kidding. My Uncle Joe and Sandy. Anyone out there from my area? Joe and Sandy's muskrat. You know, my house. We had the things that looked like little sleds. You know, and we would strap the rats on there and skin it and go out there, and it was hillbilly-ish. We ate off the land, deer, all that. But you know, the creek behind our house, it was my house and my aunt's house. Directly behind was the Lower Alloways Creek. That's why it's called the Lower Alloways Creek incident. That creek is directly hooked up to the filtration system of the nuclear plant, where the water goes into the plant and comes back out. It's the main creek, and the creek goes out to the bay, out to the Delaware River. And the creek directly behind our house is connected with that, which, you know, it's that filtration system. It's full of gamma rays, etc., and a whole bunch of other chemicals. But, you know, just tell a story briefly. I'm not going to get too much into it. April 21st, 1991 at 10:18 p.m. in southern New Jersey, Lower Alloways Creek, about, 15, 20 minutes south of Salem, New Jersey, about 30 minutes south of the Delaware Memorial Bridge. Anyone that's taken the turnpike and have went over the Delaware Memorial Bridge, imagine about 30 minutes south. Actually, you can see the nuclear plant from Delaware Memorial Bridge coming off the Jersey Turnpike for everyone that's listening. So we lived way out there. Crickers, they call us. We're crickers. And 10:18 at night, my aunt that lived directly next door, we didn't have a lot of neighbors in the area. There was a few houses, but very, country. And my aunt was next door. She was getting ready for bed, and her bedroom and top story bathroom was in the top of her house. She went inside her bathroom, and as she was getting ready to go pee after brushing her teeth, she witnessed, and it was raining this night. The cloud coverage was 1,200 foot obtained by FAA reports, etc. FAA reports, all that good stuff. The cloud coverage was 1,200 foot, and it was raining this night. So I know undeniably, this craft was 1,200 feet or less. It was a lot lower than that. I tell people it was a telephone pole or two above the tree line. Imagine a telephone pole, or maybe two of them, somewhere in the middle of that, above the tree line that was behind our house. This thing was low for us to see. It was raining, it was cloudy. My aunt saw this elongated, very long, about the size of a military black helicopter. If you ever seen like a military helicopter up close, they're actually really big, but you're only used to seeing them so far off. But when you see them that close to you on a 45, it looked massive. But I would compare the length, not the shape of it, the length of it, to a very large black military helicopter.
Okay.
You know, hence why the Men in Black and the cover-up story was a helicopter. It was, conceivable. But in reality, this was an elongated triangular object, very, very thin, not thick. Honestly, don't you know how certain human beings could fit in something? So from the angle, we were looking at it on a 45. So we could have just been catching the bottom part of the craft, but when we look at it, it looks like a piece of paper on a 45, right? You just see the corners, and there was 3 blue lights on the tips of it, and that's the only reason we knew it was a triangle of some sort, because there's 2 blue lights on this end and 1 in the front, and that gave us towards the back all the way to the front. And then in the center of it, there was some sort of white plasma light, a blinding white light that was just kind of there in the middle of the craft. No other lights. That was it. The 1 bright white light in the center of it, the 3 blue lights. That's it. My aunt's watching this craft, and it's at the conference in DC. One thing I heard, that when there are crafts, UFOs that belong to us, sometimes when they're at a lower altitude, they call it the leaf effect.
Okay.
I don't know if you heard of this, the leaf effect of, something to do with the gravitational pull in our technology. It's like a fallen leaf. When it gets close to the ground, it gets a little shaky. The stillness of this, like to see something that large in the sky so still, it's just like, I've never seen a bird that still. I've never seen a helicopter. Even that helicopter will teeter a little bit, a plane. I've never seen anything be able to be like so dead still in the sky in my entire life, still to this day. Not even another UFO video. I mean, this thing was just impossibly still. There was no leaf effect to it or anything like that. So my aunt, she goes back to her bedroom, 1991, before the show X-Files. X-Files came out a year later. The movie Men in Black came out in 1996. This is so important. I say this, it's all a part of it. You'll get it. So, my aunt goes back to her bedroom, picks up the landline, calls my mom next door. She was watching the Phillies baseball game with 2 of her girlfriends. I was upstairs asleep on my bed, which my bed was up against the back of the house where this object was. And my bed was right up against the window. And by standing on top of my bed, I could see right out the window. But I'm not going to talk about what I saw. I was just a little kid, and little kids have no idea what they're talking about, right? We don't know anything. What's my experience? So I'm going to tell you what the adults saw. So my mother, she hears the phone ringing. She goes back there. Sorry about that was good.
I'm going to wait till you're done talking. And then
yeah. But that's perfect. I'm glad you got that. So my mother goes running off the couch. Her 2 girlfriends are sitting there, but she hears the phone ring, and she didn't know there was a UFO in the backyard. She just goes to the back of the house kitchen, picks up the phone, and it's my aunt, and she says, Beth Ann, look out the back window. There's something just hovering there. And my mom, she walks over to the back window, and my mom starts screaming really loud. Oh my God, what is that? What is that? It's just hovering there. I don't even hear it. And it's massive. At that point, my mom's 2 girlfriends that were watching the baseball game with her, they come running, and as they were sprinting through the house to see what my mother saw and screaming, "What is it? What is it?" That's what woke me up. It was 10:18 at night. I was a little kid. I was sleeping, but I heard a bunch of adults screaming, "What is it?" running towards the back of my house. Upstairs, I looked and I saw everything they did. But once again, I was a little kid, and no one wants to believe a little kid because what do we know? We're just fools, right?
I mean, you had adult witnesses there with you, so
Yeah. So I this is why I tell from the adults' point of view. But I saw this thing, and I know the adults aren't lying because I saw it myself. Even though at that age I had no comprehension on what I just saw. Zero. Anthony, with your kid, it's like literally our whole entire lives we've been trying to just figure out this one thing
what
we
it
saw
is. Right.
one time.
Yeah. Right.
You know, like that's how incredible it is. It takes us literally 30, 40, 50 years. A lifetime just to figure out what the heck we saw.
And still put together pieces.
Yeah, yeah. Still learn new stuff. So as we're watching this, at this point, my mom's still on the phone with my aunt next door, etc. And all of a sudden, and I want to make this point we were talking about it before, for the longest time I thought it was maybe good extraterrestrials or other ETs that took this thing down. But everything I'm about to describe, and Anthony has an illustration if you want to put that up, because this is what we saw, but I made this reenactment. It's slowed down. It's the best I could. I'm not Steven Spielberg. Yeah. So that's the closest thing I could do, but honestly, it didn't even look like that. That was just my abilities as an editor. All simultaneously, because it was cloudy. Remember, I said the clouds were at 1,200 foot. We saw a beam of light or a ball of light come down and hit this craft all simultaneously. Everything I'm about to tell you all happened like that. It came down, it hit the craft. Red and orange sparks started shooting out of it. The center, that bright white light, imploded on itself. The outskirts exploded about 150 yards to about 350-yard trajectory all over the place. It was that kind of situation. And the center of it, dude, I've never seen anything. It like sucked itself into itself.
Collapsed on itself, yeah.
Yeah, the outskirts were a normal like Hollywood explosion. Trying to explain this, but I tell people, you know, when you watch a firework and when it goes off, you think sparks are going to hit you. After this happened, we were all ducking because we thought pieces were going to hit our house because we were watching it on a 45, a perfect 45. And just like a firework and how big the explosion was, we're like, our house is going to catch on fire.
Yeah.
We didn't get hit we didn't hear anything hit. But it just looked that close. It terrified us. My mom hung up the phone and she called 911, and that became the Lower Alloways Creek incident. And what came after that is something crazier than any Hollywood movie or anything you could possibly imagine. But that was the initial craft. The craft, as I said, like the stone Anthony had, it looked like a dull meteorite, not as shiny, but it was raining. And the only reason we could see any material was due to the 3 blue lights it was illuminating. The white bright light in the center was all blinding. So if you looked at that, you really couldn't even see the other 3 blue light. Whatever that light in the center of it was a light source that was just blinding, which the picture don't even come close to capturing the blinding light of, what that center of that craft was.
Sure.
It was unlike anything. My mom instantly hung up the phone with my aunt, She called 911. She was smart enough not to say that it was a UFO. She says some sort of aircraft just exploded and crashed behind her house. Please send help. That was her 911 call. I've documented all of this.
Fire department, please, everybody arrive to that, yeah?
Yeah. And, this is all documented. I have the documentation. I know there's a lot of people out there talking about this and that. And because I was so young, no one ever believed me anyway. 33 years of me telling this story up, and we never had evidence. And I finally found the evidence. The Philadelphia KYW3 Channel News, the Mutual UFO Network, the show Sightings, the show Unsolved Mysteries came out. So many other. Bud Hopkins was involved. John Mack, it was all, but my family just wanted to remain anonymous. My mom didn't want me to get made fun of growing up because we were in a very country religious community, and anyone that said they saw anything like that, or they're being taken by beings that they don't understand and part of hybrid programs and
right?
Yeah, no, my mom protected me, and unfortunately she took the suffering upon herself to protect me, and I'm thankful she did, because humanity's still not ready for it.
Nope.
No,
I'm just
we're
honest.
just scratching the surface of being ready to hear about it.
We're more ready now
than we were 10, 20 years ago, definitely.
Yeah, but you go back 2,000 years ago, we were all ready. It used to just be everyday common knowledge.
You were already receiving knowledge from them. You know? And then we screwed that all up, and now we're just starting to scratch the surface of everything all over again.
The video you did the other day of her going all around the world, the ancient India, the Vedic people, they understood it. Ancient China understood it. The Mayans understood it. The natives understood it. The Egyptians understood it. The Sumerians understood it. The Hittites, the Nordics, the pagans, everyone understood this.
And the craziest thing about it all was none of them were in contact with each other. And yet, all these different sites around the world, they were building similar structures.
Same things.
All
same beings.
Gods, right. So it's pretty creepy.
For example, a perfect example, my Native American tribe is the Abenaki. Abenaki.
Right.
And in our culture, our beliefs, the Abenaki, we were ones that were created out of a pond, sea, or lake. Just so happens that language and that word is also ancient Sumerian, like Anunnaki. Abenaki, Anunnaki. Except Anunnaki, those that came from above and created. My tribe were Abenaki. And in ancient Sumerian, it means lake, pond, or sea, and beings being created of. In my Abenaki, or in French, Abenaki tribe in Quebec, New England, the whole New England tribes, that's my tribe. Adirondack Mountains especially, and a little bit Mohawk too. But it's crazy that our tribe name and its meaning in our native language would coincide with the Anunnaki. It's because these same beings went all around creating people different ways.
Right.
Different, that's why their skin might be a little darker, or they might have a little more squintier eyes, and
they were testing
the same
things
game
all over the world. It was they used the world as a petri dish. Is basically what they did to try to get the perfect human element in their likeness. Is basically what we think.
Melting pot.
Yeah, right. A melting pot. There you go.
Like New York City.
Yeah, right.
No, for real. New York City. Ellis Island.
But since that main thing that changed your life at that moment in time, have you ever had anything similar to happen to you again past that to now, by any chance?
Save time on this. So after this situation happened, and there's a lot more to it. What was going on at the crash site, what happened after my mom made that 911 call, who came to her house, who was cleaning up the crash site, who was covering it up, and who came along officially to try to find it. It's a big process. But going back to your question more specifically, after this crash, I had a lot of awful nightmares, and my family was talking about it a lot. And I was really into the movie Aliens at the time. And I had some of the toys and the comic books, and my family had to take all the comic books away from me because, when when you find out these things are real at such a young age where you don't know what's real or what's fake. And I'm watching Hollywood movies such as Predator, such as Aliens, and then I find out that these things are real, and at such a young age, you don't have the discernment to realize, are these things coming here to kill us? Luckily, when my mom had the encounter with the men in black, they answered the questions. And the first question my mom asked these gentlemen was, are these things dangerous? And these men in the black suits, along with the Air Force gentlemen, said, if they were dangerous, do you still think we would be here? And my mom made it a point over and over again. I know a lot of people give Stephen Greer a lot of crap about there's no negative ETs.
Oh, there's an echo.
Yeah, I heard it. I'm trying to.
Robert, I like what you said because, I've told this story, not 1,000 times, but I told the story, when we had our Bigfoot encounter when we were kids and we didn't have internet. We didn't have like TV news channels yet because nobody really had cable TV in the 80s. So we were brought up believing that Bigfoot is real. Everything was real. So when we saw Bigfoot, we thought nothing really of it. We thought we're supposed, we know it's real. And then I remember going to school, people in school thought of Bigfoot like Santa Claus, a folklore story and all that. And I didn't even realize the outside world looked at Bigfoot that way. You know what I mean? So I can see what you're talking about where the reality of what outside people think is different than what you think. We're brought up by people telling us that this is their country, this is their land, you got to respect them and they'll respect you, and all that. So I know what you're talking about.
And what you just said about that in your Bigfoot experience, it was exactly like that. But my mom always told me to keep it hush hush. And she always told me, honey, baby, you have nothing to worry about. And she would talk about these large snake beings, reptilians, but she didn't call them that. These names and terms didn't even exist. Like she just called them these big snake beings, these praying mantis beings, these large beings with, big black eyes, and they got blue electricity resonating off their skin, and they're 8 foot tall, Octorians that people call, or these blue-gray extraterrestrials. I don't know.
Experience with those blue-gray extraterrestrials myself. I had the artist do the artist renditions of them with the heart-shaped heads and be on the slab. Like I've had those nightmares too, like that. And it's all in connection with sighting. I think for some reason they stick around us forever, man. To be honest.
Yeah, something really compelling. After my mom made the 911 call, that just real briefly, we lived out in the middle of nowhere. The fire station, it was real backwoods, and we didn't have any bars in the town. It was a dry town. We didn't have a mini mart. We had absolutely nothing where we lived. So all the young people, where would they hang out? And you with your being a police officer, the firehouse is the local hangout, because if a call comes in, that's where everything
happens at the firehouse. You throw parties at the firehouse, barbecues at the firehouse.
Exactly.
Everything happens at the local firehouse, man.
I didn't hear it mentioned here, but I think I heard it on another interview that you did, that almost like the movie Men in Black, they did something to your mom to try to make her forget what she saw. If I remember in an interview, like they're trying to hypnotize her to think differently.
No. The way they made my mom play along with their narrative, they said, after my mom asked 3 questions, real briefly, I'm going to spitball them. They did a lot of stuff. When they first came up, we just thought they were government and military, which we weren't afraid or surprised. We just had an aircraft explode behind our house. We were hoping that the military and government would come there and ask us, what did we see?
Any better back then, right?
It wasn't scary. Even though this operated beyond anything we could comprehend or anything like that, all we know, when you see something that big explode, someone's dead.
Yeah, right.
Who was operating it? Drone technology wasn't even something in our brains at that time. We didn't even know what a drone was.
Right.
It didn't exist.
Mhm.
So, like, you know where I'm like going with this. We didn't know what it was, where it came from, or who it belonged to. But when you see something that large explode behind your house in the middle of nowhere where nothing ever happens every single day, just deer crossing the road, that's the most you got to watch out for, making sure you don't hit a deer in your car.
That's the biggest event that ever happened in your town, basically.
Yeah, I'm serious. So to see something like this, and we expected that to happen, but the thing is, where we lived, we were separated by the Delaware River, and you had to go about, from Dover Air Force Base, you had to go about 40 minutes north, cross over a bridge, and then come about another 30 minutes south, because we had the river with no bridge right there. And then 25 minutes after my mom made the 911 call, 10 minutes after, the police came, took initial report, where, what, and when. That's it. That's all they asked. They went to my aunt's house, where, what, and when. And that's all I have of the police. I know Anthony's a police officer. From that point on, other than the articles and the police and the state police defending my mother and my aunt, because we were all family. The fire chief was my, uncle, and the brother-in-law to my aunt that saw it next door. So this was like an in-house kind of like family event. A lot of the authorities were also family as well, and I have statements saying these people are credible, reputable adults. They are not making this stuff up. But 25 minutes later, 10 minutes after police came, state police. 25 minutes later, which I have no idea, 2 black cars pull in our driveway. Out the one car comes a gentleman wearing Air Force uniform. I didn't know at the time what Air Force base he was from. He didn't announce it. I didn't find out who the Air Force gentleman, that's the nuclear plant. That's the bridge that's still closed today. And that barrier, they moved that back another quarter mile, and they're trying to keep people even farther away now. So it's been closed for 33 years. And now they're even closed. They pushed it way back. The last time I went there, I took a couple people that drove from Pennsylvania to come check out. And you see that little barrier?
Yeah.
That little barrier right now is probably where you see all those trees way up there where the tree line starts. Mm-hmm. That's where that's at now. This was shut down the night of the crash. This is where it crashed.
They moved the barriers even further out now.
Even further, because it's always been a popular fishing area. Everyone that goes there, there's just the energy there. People that don't even know what happened there. I go there all the time, and people will just be fishing, hillbillies, rednecks, people from the ghetto getting catfish and dropping off bodies that they just hit, all this stuff. And I tell them about it, and they're like, whoa, oh yeah, there you can see it on the map. That picture right there with the arrow, that's the bridge, and that's the creek that's there.
Where the incident happened.
And right there, man. And
what, Robert?
Come on, I investigate. I do my homework, man.
I feel
what's going on.
I feel you and I are luckier than Anthony.
Why is this?
And why I say that is I do. I feel we're luckier than Anthony because, growing up, you do question yourself. What did I see? What did I see? You always question yourself. But at least in my case, I was with 11 other family members who all saw this. It wasn't like just one or two.
Really? 11?
So we all, say, you did see what you did. You did see what you see. You did, what I mean? You had support because
Anthony was all alone.
Anthony
was all alone.
No, dude, we chased it. We ran after it because we were taught that these things are like regular animals. We were never scared of it because it was brought to our attention that this is part of nature. Now, you had your mom, some family members. Anthony's case, he's by himself.
Well, hold on a minute. There were like 11 other kids dirt bike riding, but we're talking 150-acre lot. But when
you were the only one to see it, though,
I stopped. Yeah, I stopped because I needed gas and water, and I stopped. And just when I happened to stop and drink water. If I didn't drink water and look up, I would have never noticed it coming in.
But Anthony,
Never.
like I could talk to my family. Robert could talk to his mom.
Talk to
and maybe
my aunt
So
that's still alive. Yeah.
Anthony, who could you talk to about
No
your
one.
My parents were in the woods, but nobody saw this damn thing but me.
That's my
And
point.
another strange point, my parents and the people looking for me walked by the trail I was on so many times, you know, making that the dirt bike trail, like walking through, and they didn't see me in that spot. But when I heard my parents call me, they were coming back on another turn onto that same trail where I was, and all of a sudden I was there.
So I bet for
Pretty
you,
great.
Anthony, listening to Robert probably helps you a lot because you
Sure
kind
it
of went through the exact same thing in a
Sure
way.
it does. Hearing all these people, you know, triangular stories help me add another little notch to the puzzle because it's crazy, man. Just like he's trying to solve his, I'm trying to solve mine. We're all trying to solve what happened to all of us because it just doesn't make sense. Why me? Why did it happen to me? What was the sense of it happening
Circumstance.
to a 13-year-old kid?
Circumstance.
Why did it happen to a 4-year-old kid? It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Circumstance. We are men of circumstance. All of us.
Exactly right.
All of us. And I
Right
agree
place,
with
right
Eric. You know, Anthony, like you really did have, I see where Eric's coming from.
Yeah.
You had it harder. Growing up, I had my mom, I had my aunt. The police station got 3 other phone calls to the police station from people we didn't even know saying that they saw the same thing. So, like, you know, we have all this other validation to know that we're not losing our minds and going crazy. But poor you, you were out there taking that sip of the water. If you didn't take the sip of the water, you wouldn't even notice it.
I thought I was nuts.
And then your parents find you, and they went through that exact same area, and you weren't there. You were gone.
This is how it
5 hours.
Andy made this artist rendition a little while ago.
Oh, that's
how
pretty
it looked.
good.
This is what it looked like, kind of to me. You know, I'm on my bike. You know, I have my helmet off. I'm leaning on my bike. I'm drinking water, and then you know, Craft One is there, and then they separate from each other, and they just sit next to each other, like wobbly, rotating around each other slowly. You know what I mean? It was the craziest thing I've ever seen
And
in my
then
life.
we made that readjustment magnetism thing. Remember that connection we met? Like, why were they doing this? Like, something wasn't calibrated correctly,
maybe
and they were.
The reason why they separated was maybe they weren't interlocked properly. Something was wrong for them to separate like that.
And then when you said they went back together, how they locked like that, that was magnetism. It can't be anything else to make it as smooth as you were saying it was.
Right. Just
Has
like
to be.
the other whistleblower from Greer was discussing how his triangular craft separated and then they were two. I mean, when I heard that, I was mind blown.
And you know, you've seen it yourself. And he was on a military base with 2 high-ranking officials that just laughed at him. Like,
Here's what pisses me off about all the whistleblowers, though. None of them ever. I mean, I don't have footage either, but I was 13. These guys were on military bases. I just don't understand how nothing recorded anything.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I don't understand. All these whistleblower reports for the military, it's all like, you know, artist renditions. Nobody had, on none of these cases, nobody recorded anything. That I don't get.
And
that stumps my head a little bit.
The thing is, anything that flies over a military base, they got it on video.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what
you
I'm
know
talking
it. It's we don't have access to those videos yet. There has been, back in 1995, there's a great military base video of something flying around. It's really old. It was on, like, it was Peter White or someone, like, at NBC, like, real old, where they had actually all the military tags on the bottom and stuff, something flying around. It's an old video. I forget where it was. I think it was White Sands, you know. And they capture something cruising around, and you hear everyone.
One that came down and bounced and blew up?
No, not that one. There was another one where there was an object just kind of cruising through the sky, and kind of like the one that we got, you know, flipping around and stuff like. Not that one, but the Navy's.
Eric, have you seen any of the recent stuff that Robert captured on film?
Well, that TikTok one is from 2016. It's
Well,
not it's old.
I shouldn't say recent. Have you seen any
Yeah.
of the stuff that Robert's captured on film ever?
I went to his channel and saw some older footages. I haven't seen anything. I haven't been to your channel over the weekend. I don't know if you had anything new over the weekend.
We just recently captured these 6 giant orange orbs.
Dude,
that
no,
come out.
everyone thought they were. First of all, Anthony, I want to talk about this. I know this ain't anyone out there, if you want to know more about the UFO crash case in great detail, go over to the page, Robert Earl White, check it out, whatever. But I want to talk about this, Anthony, because I've had so many people say it's Chinese. I've done Chinese lanterns. They're not that bright.
No.
They're dull. The distance of those, I literally in the beginning of the video, I thought they were airplane headlights.
No way.
I even said it out loud. And then a lantern, Chinese lantern, goes up and then it burns out and it falls out or burns up and just goes straight down.
Yeah.
These were going horizontal across the skyline perfectly. Then when they would fade out, they would turn into those little white orbs.
Let me
and
tell
then
you
disappear.
I zoomed into these craft as far in as you can zoom.
You got it. Look how professional.
And these things, I know they're low in the sky, but lanterns, number one, are a different color. Number two, the size comparison, these were huge. You know, lanterns are small. They're like 2 foot wide by 2 foot tall, if that.
Yeah,
okay?
if that.
And then they burn in the sky and then they drop to the ground. These things were in the sky for a long, 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 long time. The object itself is big, is really big.
And the light propulsion off
like
of
a car in the sky.
Like lingers. Yeah.
This is like a car in the sky. That's pretty much how big these things are. And you can measure that off the house as it comes up on the backside of the house. You can measure.
That's why I had the house as reference.
Right. You can measure the house to the object, and you get like a 12-foot wide object when you do these measurements. That's a big object in the sky, man. And there was a bunch of them. They just kept coming out of nowhere.
This was the first one, and then afterwards, you know, I didn't realize that there was more or whatever. I was just so locked on to this, and then it turns into a white orb.
Yeah.
And look at that white orb. Look at the white orb. It cruises, and then it just absolutely disappears. And I'm like, what happened? And then before you know it,
another
one. Know, I see another one coming. I'm like, oh, come on. You got to be kidding me.
And it was crazy. This was when he called me and told me, you're never going to believe what I just caught. I said, oh, show me. Let's see this. And I watched it like 100 times over and over and over and over and over again. I'm zooming in as best I could. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was really crazy. It was really crazy.
Oh, there's the second one.
Right there. And these things aren't floating up from the ground. It's just appearing in the sky.
Not Starlink. These things were red.
No, they were red. Yeah.
Red. Until they faded out, then they would turn to white orbs. Just an orb, and then it would just disappear.
Weird stuff.
This was on my iPhone 13s. I was using 30 frames per second because that's what you use for a higher exposure, nighttime. That's why you're able to see the house. This is nighttime. This was around, I believe, 9:40 at night, 9:40 p.m. Oh, look, there's another one coming.
Yeah. But again, it's just appearing in the sky. It's not floating from the ground up like a lantern would do. It just turns on in the sky.
And they're going across the sky. It's
weird.
Freaking wild, dude.
Very weird.
And everyone, lantern. And I've lit Chinese lanterns. And from that distance, you could barely see a Chinese lantern.
No, without a doubt.
It would look like a candle floating through the sky. That's what they look like.
This is something different. I don't know what it is, but you can clearly tell the difference.
I really, at first, because here's the thing, where they're coming from, and people that are watching this video, they wouldn't know that. Where these things are coming from is the Delaware Bay. It's nothing but water. That's the direction. And near there is Dover Air Force Base. I even say this could be one of ours. These could be ours. I don't know what it is. I'm not right in front of the craft, seeing what occupants are
This was
inside
like
of
a
it.
week ago, right?
Yeah, a week and a half ago. Yeah.
And he has a lot of really cool stuff on the channel. Not for nothing.
Yeah, I'm gonna show his channel because we're gonna wind down here.
Okay, yeah, man.
This is Robert Earl's channel,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna copy and paste it and put it right here in the chat. I'm sure everybody already has it, but if somebody is brand new to your channel, Robert, do you have like a recommendation video that everybody should check out first? By any
Well,
chance, or
Pin,
all of them?
all of them. Yeah, that's a good one. Pinned to the top of the page. I just did that one last night. I had a bunch of friends of mine come on, and we
Did
had
you
an
see me in the
awesome.
chat last night? I was in the chat last night, but it was
Yeah,
so
yeah.
active.
I saw you. I
Yeah,
saw
right.
you. It's pretty wild. I was
Thanks.
overwhelmed. Thank you. I win the lottery. I've
Yeah, great
seen
guy.
him
I
in
win the lottery.
Anthony's chat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great
I
guy,
see him
man.
all the
Great
time.
guy. Great
Great
artist.
guy. But right there, my UFO crash story. I did something about not too long ago, maybe a year ago. The one video is 3 years ago. I have 4 different parts. I have the recap that's in the first video, a higher production, where the first one with the blue to the right there, I didn't know what I was doing. That was the very first video I found. I just stood in front of the bridge. I read right off the papers of the MUFON articles. I never made a video. That one's talking about the men in black at the crash site, and that one is more about my mother's abductions and what she was encountering. And that's the whistleblower I had from the nuclear plant. I also talk about Maelstrom Air Force Base because it just the nuclear war has sites. That's my UFOs I've caught on camera, all my different. The one video everyone just watched is all the way to the right. What did I just witness? I always try to make a really cool cover, like UFO Rush Hour. I put Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker on there. And a lot of these videos and the World UFO Day, they are like 50-minute videos of nonstop UFOs I've captured, like within weeks. Like I see so many UFOs that I can make a 54-minute of just showing each UFO I capture and putting it out there. It's
one of my
and
favorite
the power
ones is you have a tic tac going up in the sky, twirling, then it just levels out and right through the cloud. Yeah. I never seen anything like that.
What do you have coming up, Robert?
Coming up. Oh wow! I got a lot of. I think Monday or Tuesday. I'm hanging out with my good friend Laura Eisenhower. Don't know if you know who she is. Great granddaughter, President Eisenhower. We're doing something together, and a few others as well. I know that the end of this month, going into August, I'm going to Alaska, and I'm staying with Eric Hecker, one of the whistleblowers that worked in Antarctica. Cool. And we're going to be interviewing some of the whistleblowers that no one has been interviewing, but we're going to be trying to get it out there because, we're all friends with each other, but afterwards everyone got hit so hard. And these are just real guys, they don't have YouTube platforms or nothing. They testified in front of the Senate, Congress. They have credible evidence. The public didn't see that in the press conference because sake of time. Yeah, it's political, but they have quite a bit of information. There's just, unfortunately, they never have a platform to really be able to go through it all. So, and they're really hard to get a hold of. I've had a lot of people trying to reach out to Eric and kind of reaching out to me to get a hold of Eric. And he's working. He works 3 weeks on 12-hour days and then 3 weeks off. A lot of
busy.
And like he said, UFOs and aliens don't pay the bills. You got to work.
And then on Wednesday, Anthony, you have Joey the UFO magnet coming on.
Yeah, Joey's going to come on. He was supposed to come on a week ago on a Sunday, but I had a system problem. So he'll be on this Wednesday on our show to discuss his UFO encounter. He actually filmed a really cool triangular craft in the sky we're going to talk about, amongst other things. We'll have him on. He's a fairly new channel. And, of course, don't forget that, we're still working on Extraterrestrial City. Well, no, that's just putting posters and shit out.
Okay.
We signed
I
contracts.
just deleted them all, man.
Yeah, posters and shit. But Robert will be in that documentary. We will have official everything coming up within the next couple weeks once we sign documents and all that stuff. So stay tuned to that. You know, it's gonna be really cool.
And then Robert, I want to thank you for coming on today. That was you. You throw a lot of great information out there. I mean,
I didn't even really get to tell the
You didn't
story.
even get to
That's
touch half of it.
crazy.
I know. We're gonna
I only
definitely
told
have
the
to do
first
this
15
again.
minutes. I didn't say anything else, but
Gotta
it's a
have-
very
new
complex thing.
things. I know we could probably spend 8 hours if we,
Easy.
but we all have stuff to do. But beyond that, I want to thank everybody in chat for coming in today. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed. Go to their channels, subscribe, comments, likes, whatever you got to do, put it in there because likes and comments do help the channel. Even though I get probably the less comments for whatever reason, nobody likes to leave me a comment. But hey, regardless.
Me neither. They trickle in.
I saw
do,
your
they
video
do.
with the Green River Killer. The Green River Killer
Oh, I reckon.
traveling through the woods. I was watching that. That was pretty cool. I just like walking through the woods with a cowboy hat. There's not too many of us in this community.
And it was just a weird weekend because I put the wrong thumbnails on this show and that show. And
You
then
call me Robert Earl Jones. Like I said, I love Indiana Jones. It has a real nice ring to it. But
Robert Earl Jones.
no, it was all Mandela effect. Come on. You had mismemory. That's what it was.
Respected.
and my Facebook's though Rossi. I got a lot of different days, but I'm like, Jones don't sound that bad. I kind of like Jones.
Beyond that, everybody in chat, we'll see you
Dutch
next
Fly,
time
what's up?
on the
Later.
Paranormal Highway.